I saw a very touching comment that was asking that I should say some more Torah. And the problem is I don't know any Torah. I'm Aretz. I'm an ignoramus, and I'm not a Talmud Chochem who knows Torah. But that's the situation. Why I'm not saying so much Torah like I used to, but maybe I'll try. But before I'll say some Torah, I want to apologize, I guess. Maybe a half-hearted apology to Zazzle.com, or maybe it was the squeaky wheel that got the grease here, because I mentioned, I emailed them, but I also made a video saying that they refused to print a particular sticker that they were advertising on their site. I guess they don't review them ahead of time or something, and they said it was I guess I was the first one to buy it, I don't know, but I tried to buy some stickers and I got a few from the same artist, and a few I didn't get, but they emailed me back that they are going to print the sticker that I bought now that I don't have money in the bank, but tomorrow Mirz Hashem is payday, so hopefully I don't overdraft over a bumper sticker. I don't like to look at my accounting, because they the bracha shul adava asomim and ayin. So there's a little bit of Torah. The Gemara says that blessing only rests on something that's hidden from the eye. We learned that from last week's Haftarah. So we should be zoiche, because I don't know how much money is in the bank, that I don't overdraft, because it's the day before payday. But it's all min Shemayim, of course. So let's try to think some Torah. So we have a beautiful Sedra this week is Chayei Sarah, and there are many famous things on the Sedra of Chayei Sarah that we could talk about. I remember my yeshiva, he should have for Shleimer Ababa. He would give a Shir Kloli every week, right? And the Shir Kloli on every year Chayei Sarah was on the inyan of Shidduchim and what to look for in the Shidduch, etc., etc. Because Eliezer went out to get a Shidduch for Yitzchak Avinu, right? So Rosh Shiva, he would always start off. He said this is a subject he knows about, because he'd been married a few times. He's on his third marriage. I was there at the Chassan, I remember, not by the chuppah, but I was there. So Unvinchen Mazel Tov, and he married a very, very choshev Rebbetzin, happens to be a Gioris, and it's and they're still together, and she is a big tzaddikus. Her first husband, she stuck with him with his illness. He had cancer, and he didn't have any children, I think, from his first wife, and he married this Talmud Chochem, a tremendous Talmud Chochem, Chassidish Yid, and they had quite a number of children. And it was his second marriage. She was quite a bit younger than him, and then when Yeshiva was single, his second wife he divorced, and his first wife was Rav Munk's daughter, and she passed away, and then he married his second wife. It didn't work out, and he got married 3 times. He knows a thing or two about Shidduchim, he would say, right? And I remember, the Medrash says from this Sedra and from Vayetze that we see there's certain Shidduchim don't work the same for all people. And I know the one who requested I should say some more Torah, Baruch Hashem, he's married with children, and he's a successful person, and we wish him well. And I thank him for having so much faith in me that I could say shtickle Torah, because I don't think I can. And certainly, you've grown to be a Talmud Chochem yourself now, and you could appreciate better things. You probably grew out of whatever meager Torah I could give over. But in any event, he the Medrash says that shidduchim, they're not the same for everybody. Some people are like Yitzchak Avinu, their zivug comes to them, and some people they're like Yaakov Avinu, they have to go to their zivug, and so it's not the same for everybody. I remember Purim, I was in Yerushalayim, and I went to a tish, the Spinker Rebbe Zechor Levracha, Rabbi Kahana, not Meir Kahana, or Mordechai David Kahana, and Zechor Levracha, I believe that was his name, and he was the Spinker Rebbe in Yerushalayim. It was interesting that does, as far as I know, he's the only Spinker Rebbe in Yerushalayim. There must be like 10 Spinker Rebbes in Bnei Brak, and there was only one in Yerushalayim, right? So, at least at that time. And I had been to his house, and I don't think he remembered me. I used to go once in a while, but it'd been some time. I used to go to the Tish pretty often, just to peek in, and sometimes once or twice I ate by the Rebbe's children, by their home, and so forth. But and I remember meeting his son in Baltimore and Silver Spring one time, who I'd eaten at his house, the son, and I remember this Rebbe, his grandson, came to my chasana. I was at his home in Williamsburg, I remember. Anyway, the Spinker Rebbe, Zechor Levracha, he asked me my name. I said Yitzchak Zev ben Rivka Cheved, and he said, that's the Medrash says there's some people like Yitzchak Avinu, their zivug comes to them, and there's some people they're like Yaakov Avinu, they have to go to their zivug. So he said, your name's Yitzchak, your zivug's going to come to you, and that's how it came about. I had a very different type of shidduch, which interestingly, they say the Rosh Shiva, he should have Fu Shleim or Ababa. He said the same thing, that with his first marriage, he had a very strange way the shidduch came about. That it was a non-Jew who was a bus driver or train conductor or something like that, who was the shadchan. How did that happen? So he said, the bus driver, train conductor, was the same person every day. He always saw the boy would come, and he had a whole bunch of Jewish books. And he would always see a girl also, always had a lot of Jewish books. And the girl, her father was the chief rabbi of Paris, but she was in Manhattan, and he was there in Manhattan. He lived in Brooklyn, I guess, but he would take the train or the bus to go to Yeshiva University, and so that's how they made the shidduch. Was the non-Jewish bus driver, or who made the shidduch, who made the marriage, who was the matchmaker, and so he asked one of his rabbeim, who was I think was there at YU when he was learning there, Rabbi Abba, but soll gesund sein. But he was more of a frummer Rav. I don't remember who it was, what the name was. But anyway, this Maggid Shir, he said, he asked the Rabbi, it was a younger man, a chassid. He asked the Maggid Shir, why min hashamayim did it come about that my shadchan should not be Jewish? So he said, it's because you went to learn in YU. That's your punishment for. And I had a different story that I don't have to talk about. It's not time and a place for that, and I'm always a little embarrassed. And I'm a very open person, but I met my wife in a different way. And I guess it's the same thing because I went to Lander College. That's why I had the shidduch like that, because I went to Lander College instead of going to a more Ehrlich yeshiva. But the truth of the matter is, Lander College is a very Ehrlich yeshiva, and the truth is why the people are really sitting and learning and they're serious there. It's a good yeshiva. It's a very good yeshiva. I might not agree with their politics, their views about the state of Israel, whatever. At least, Lander College officially was neutral on the subject, and whereas Yeshiva University obviously was not. And but in any event, the same thing, like I said about Rabbi Sachs, not the Rabbi Sachs who's now Rosh Yeshiva at Bamin's in Darton, in what's the name of in Lander College. His name's Yonason Sachs, and the other one, Model Chaim Toven, is I don't know him, but I understand he's a Choshev Yid. And then, but Rabbi Sachs from England, he was Jonathan Sachs, but he wasn't Yonason. He was Yaakov Tzvi. So I'm not the only one who has a biblical name in English that's not my Hebrew name. People want to call me Yosef, and I say no, I'm Joseph. I'm not Yosef. I'm Yitzchak Zev. And just like we had in Richmond, we had the same thing. We had a rabbi, his first name, a very frum rabbi, a YU rabbi, but Talmud Chacham, and very frum for modern Orthodox. Didn't wear a hat, but he wanted to. He did it in every other stellar, and his current stellar he did, but they wouldn't let him there. That's how it was, But anyway, he really was a hat guy. But this rabbi, he's a Talmud Chacham, a Choshev Yid, and his English name's Daniel, and he goes by such an English name, Daniel, but his Hebrew name is Aaron Tzvi. So we're not the only ones like this. So anyway, and vis-a-vis my previous video about the enemies and this and that, there's a point where the reform like that, and I don't mean to get into politics, but again, we can disagree with the religious Zionists. We can even disagree and agree to disagree with the conservative, I believe, even though I know a lot of people disagree with me on that and might hold me in contempt for that. But the reform is already too far, Doesn't mean we have to hate them. It just means it's not Judaism, It's not any form of Judaism. Any more than Christianity is a form of Judaism, and the fact is that the reform is what makes it possible that certain Christians can call their movement Judaism when it's not, no more than Islam is Christianity, But I'm getting off topic. We said we're going to say Torah, so it's 13 minutes, and I still haven't really said any Torah. Just babbled on about nonsense. But what can we see? I don't really have any advice on shidduchim. People ask me for shidduchim all the time. I don't know any girls, so how could I make a shidduch? But Hashem, I don't know any girls. I know my girls, and they're not old enough yet for shidduchim. And when I know them, when they grow up, we'll know right? It's not too far off. Time flies. Before I know it, I'll be a Zayda, But I don't know any girls, so when people ask me, maybe someone else they know a shidduch, a bacher, Chassidish bacher, a Ben Gerim, but very frum, a Talmud Chacham. He's in his early 20s, maybe mid-20s, or maybe, I don't know, maybe late 20s already, I don't know. But he finished Shas a few times. He really knows how to learn. And I don't think he speaks Yiddish, but he dresses very Rebbish. And maybe someone has a shidduch for him, because I don't know anybody, And he asks me all the time, "You have a shidduch?" I don't have a shidduch for him. I'm sorry. I know some of my friends are Sfardim, and they need the shidduch. I don't know. I don't know any girls. Um, I know boys who need shidduch. I don't know any girls. You know. So that's the mice anyway. What can we say? Well, it's not a Dvar Torah, but we have a pasuk in this. No, that's in Toldus. This week's parsha, so that's not the one I'm thinking of. This week's parsha, one of my favorite psukim is Vayetze Yitzchak L'Soach Basoda. I don't have any Torah to say on it. I don't know. Hine Gemalim Boyim, right? If you go out and daven in the field, you'll see a gemul. So this is what we say: we're daven Yetzenfeld. It's still Ad Yoim. A lot of shuls are not davening indoors. It's getting worse now. I'm not taking the risk. So we're davening in Drosen. We're davening out in the field. Rabbi Nachman says the gewaldige thing that all the grass in the field wants to daven to you. And I'll tell you something. I had a very difficult time since this has started to have any kavanah in davening when davening with a minyan. And I haven't davened with a minyan that much, to be honest. But here and there, right? And this Shabbos was nice weather, this last Shabbos, and I was thinking about that Rabbi Nachman says about every blade of grass wants to daven with you. That helped me have kavanah. So maybe other people, people know this. This from Rabbi Nachman, it's a famous thing, right? But maybe if you're struggling with kavanah and tefillah like I am, that could help you. Maybe it's to think if you're davening outside and the grass is davening with you, and all the whole bria is all davening with you. Maybe that could help. I don't know. It helped me a little bit. Thank you for watching. God bless. Please like, share, and subscribe. Comment. We'll see you later. Take care.